As a fan of both Fire Emblem, card games, and collectibles, Fire Emblem Cipher felt like the perfect merchandise for me to collect. And while I have talked a lot about Fire Emblem Cipher and some of my favorite pieces of art, I never talked about what some of my favorite cards are in my own collection. So today, I'll be tackling some of my proudest achievements as a collector for this game and some of the more sentimental cards that I own. Let's start off with the banger, the legendary Inheritors. Anyone that's played Fire Emblem 6 and Fire Emblem 7 is probably familiar with the legendary heroes. As one of the few psychopaths that has Fire Emblem 6 as their favorite game, this mural is my crown achievement for the Fire Emblem Cipher game. Spread across different collections, it's as if Intelligent Systems knew that most of these cards were going to be the chase cards for both competitive players and collectors alike. And I've spent hundreds of dollars trying to finish this collection, even having to buy Sue and Zafil in order to finish this set. It's nice there's exactly 9 legendary weapons because it sure does fit into the binder very nicely. Sizo might be a weird card to put on this list, but there's a few story reasons as to why this card is special. First, he was a part of my first ever competitive deck in Fire Emblem Cipher. I first liked to learn any real card game by starting off with aggro, so ninjas came pretty naturally to me, even if I lost the first round of the amateur tournament against Amelia of all things, and then Lloyd immediately after. All my Cipher players will understand how tough these matchups are. But second, this Sizo was a gift sent to me all the way from Australia by my mod Veko. Now, if you're a fan of the JaeAIK lore, however sparse it might be, I've told the story once of how I basically did a ninjas only playthrough of Birthright, dubbing the squad the Power Rangers. And I had made a video about it, now unlisted. But Veko liked the video and sent me this card, which is why I cherish it to this day. Quan, another card that I played competitively back in my more active days of playing Fire Emblem Cipher. It's really funny because Quan's best partners are all flyers, hence why Quan's deck was called Quan Flyers. Ironic if you know his character story, but out of all the boys, Quan was always my favorite, so I always was drawn to playing this deck even if my level of play was super duper garbage. So a guy by the name of Brave Saint Cipher, knowing that I was learning the game, took time out of his day to really coach me through this deck and later sent me a care package dubbed the Brave Saint Cipher pack, which included this particular Quan. It was such a nice gesture and it really made me feel nice about being a part of the Cipher community. I can see why he was dubbed Cipher Dad by the Cipher Court back in the day, because as corny as this sounds, he really did take care of all of us kids. Overclass Arm. While my previous cards have all this history to them when I played the card game, Overclass Arm doesn't have any ties to that. In fact, I pulled this card just as a fan of the franchise and was my first ever holographic card that I pulled. My friend Raymond had this neat opportunity to visit Japan, and knowing that I'm a Fire Emblem fan, he brought back some packs and a few other neat goodies for me. And in those packs, I got a few cards, but this Overclass Arm was my crown pull of that night. I don't really talk to Raymond as much as I used to, not because of bad blood or anything, but just because of life happening for the both of us, but I still think of his nice gesture when I see the Arm card. And of course, Shersh. How can I talk about Fire Emblem without talking about the character that I basically built my channel on, Shersh? These set of cards were either sent to me by Veko, me going through weird loops and hoops to obtain them, or just as a byproduct of me hunting for the legendary Inheritors. I kept a conscious eye on making sure I had at least one copy of every art, and while I'm still missing a promotional Shersh, I'm glad I still have these. There are a lot more cards that I can talk about, like the Lord's mural that they released in the final set of Cipher that I spent a weird amount of time collecting, or the funny Kellum card that I own, but what makes these set of cards unique, fun, and memorable to me are the stories that I can tell from these set of cards. A card game can only be a game when there's another person to play it with, and I think Fire Emblem Cipher is a great testament to the wonderful people that I've met on the Cipher Court and just through my journey as a YouTuber. And I'm glad I have these cards not because of their worth, but because of the journey, the story, and the people that I've met through my time collecting these cards. These are mere tokens to the prized relationships that I had the pleasure of building through my time as a player, fan, and collector of this game. But this has been JaeAIK. I hope you enjoyed this short video of me gushing about my collection, and I hope to see you guys next time.